Okay, I think we are live. Hello and good morning. This is a Crate and Hang with me, Nick, and welcome. Again, apologies for the the lack of hair care over here. My barbers have still not returned to their work, so hopefully that will be soon so I can get a haircut, because this is starting to look less like a head of hair and more like a head of a mop. So, hopefully you'll forgive me for that. But regardless, welcome to the Crate and Hang this morning. Today I'm going to continue working on the Harry Potter RPG. I know I took a break last week from that and kind of dived into programming a little bit. Still working on that dungeon builder. It's just, as I explained, programming is a little bit of a challenge for me. So, we're going to hop back into the Harry Potter RPG, and we're going to be focusing on the different stages of leveling up. Might as well jump into it, and we will take a look. So, last time we left off here, just checking my audio levels, seems pretty good here. Last we left off, I was trying to determine the dice leveling up sort of system. So, there was a lot of work on using and figuring out the type of die rolls, and I was originally going to have the number of dice increase on each level, such as like a D4 and whatnot. But then trying to figure out where to change that level was a little tricky. Additionally, I found out through some careful study was it really doesn't matter how many dice you roll if you only, because I'm working on a success system. So instead of hitting a target number to compare to, like in Dungeons and Dragons, where like you're comparing to hit against armor class, I have just a number of successes, and we determine what that number is on the die. But if you only need one success, then it doesn't really matter if you roll 2, 3, or 4. The odds are still the same. Where we get that variability is if you need, or rather you assume the level of success is you always need 2, or rather the level of success is always 2 on the die, then that does change things a little bit. I was originally going to have that fluctuate, but if we set that level of success at 2, I found out that it does have a little bit more of a steady percentage change, but it's not quite as insane as over here. So just to give you an example again, if the level of successes required is always 1, then it doesn't matter if I'm rolling 2 dice, the percentages are always the same. Same thing with if I need 2 successes and I'm rolling 2 die. Obviously, you know, that doesn't really change the odds here if I only need 1 success. So over here, I kind of streamlined things a little bit because I looked at how, where's that other, oh, it's in the other document here. Because I was originally looking at things to tweak, and if I kept the number of successes the same, in other words, if you always need like 2 successes to get a spell off, then at some point the number of dice become irrelevant because the odds are exactly the same. That's why I decided to have the number of successes you need variable. So the higher the spell level, the more difficult the spell. But the level of success, in other words, the number on the die itself, that will be constant. So this is always going to be 2. I don't know why I have 2+ here. It's always just going to be 2. That's just to make it easy. I didn't want 2 numbers to compare to. So that's just where we ended up here. I looked at the statistics for all of that, and I sort of figured out where I want each year of schooling to be in terms of a die and how many. I've decided to, instead of having players figure out how many die they have based on the number of points, I'd rather, if we come back over to the core system here, I'd rather have the overall skill level determine the number of die and the die type. So this is going to be part of a leveling up system altogether. I know in some RPGs it's more common to stick to one specific die type, but I thought it would be cooler to like increase that and change the number of die as well as the die type. I don't know if that's done in any other RPG system, actually. I'd be surprised if I'd be the first one to do that. I'm sure somebody else out there has thought of it. But, needless to say, hopefully that bunch of gobbledygook made sense. Case in point, level successes are always going to be 2. The number of successes you need are going to vary depending on the spell level. Your overall skill level, which we need to talk about as well, is going to drive the number of dice and the die type together. And that's what this system is here. What I need to figure out now is how do I transfer a point system to, okay, you've got, 5 points in this. This is how much dice you roll. Or whatever that might be. Because I think one of the things that's really cool about this potential system is, even though you're a first year, if you do a number of things and manage to get enough points, you can still potentially get boosted up to 2d6 before you actually enter the second year. This is actually just sort of a guideline, about where you need to be. So I need to figure out how to get these together to determine that overall number. So where does that come in? So I've already talked about these aspects of magic before, where we've got the spellcraft skills, we have the attributes, which will basically determine your skills in these different areas. You've got, and then the physical or outward traits. So the way that this is working is that because it's a triangle system, whatever skill or spell you're attempting to do, it's going to be a combination of 2 different aspects. So, for example, if we look at herbology here, that's going to be taking into account your knowledge and the observation. There's not so much calculation here when you're doing that, but that's going to come into part when you're doing, say, potions, for example. So, depending on if you have a higher knowledge and higher observation, you're going to be doing better with herbology, care of magical creatures. But if you're doing a little bit less in calculation, that means you're probably going to have a lower dice roll when you're doing study of runes, potions, and arithmancy, which is all the magic of numbers. That's going to be quite a bit lower. Same thing with the spells over here. So I need to figure out, depending on how the player puts in these points, how does that equal to the number of dice and die type? That's what I'm working on right now. So we've got this sort of guide system here. I think one of the things I need to allow is how each group wants to play. Because I'm rereading the Harry Potter books right now, and one of the things that I found interesting is that they actually don't go into a lot of specifics for how the magic system works. It's just sort of implied. And that's sort of the fun of it, being able to, like, throw in, like, toadstools and, I don't know, manticore wing and unicorn hair, phoenix tuft, whatever it is, and make a potion out of something, Why does that actually work? Who knows? But that's part of the fun. So I need to figure out a way to make it fun and make sense without going into crazy detail. So, and other people are going to want to play this differently. Like, some people may want to play, like, one game is 1 year at Hogwarts, or it could be a semester, or it could be a month or a week. People like to play a little bit differently. From what I actually went on to Reddit and I asked around how long people play games for, and it was specifically I got a couple people got back to me about few people play D&D and that they play it for once a week for like 2 or 3 hours, but they play for maybe a year, a little bit more. With this one, because it's going to be geared toward a wider range of audience or audience members, because I want younger kids to be able to play this. I think we have to plan for a shorter span of time, but still allow adults to enjoy themselves. So I think we need some guidelines for, say, I don't know, a day or a week, perhaps, a month. semester, which I want to say 3 months. Hold on. Google, save me. How long is a semester? Google to the rescue. 15 weeks. So that's about 3 months, I think. Yeah, because 4 weeks to a month. 4, 8, 12. It's a little bit longer than that. But then if you have like breaks and stuff, so we'll say 3 months for simplicity, and then we'll say the whole year. All right. So by the end of the year, I want everyone to at least have leveled up to the next die area. So I think we'll start with this system first and figure out roughly how many points they should have. Because basically at the end of the game, you're going to have to choose where you want to allocate your points to, which is something else we need to take into account, because I don't want the leveling up to be a real chore. It should be fun, and you shouldn't like become super overpowered really quickly, but we don't want to make it like a slogfest either. Slogfest, is that a thing? Slugfest? I don't want it to be a drag, is what I'm trying to say. So let's say that you need... I don't know why, but I'm thinking like 3, 6, 9, 12? I'm trying to keep it in theme with the triangle system here. So how many points would you need to get from here to here? And the other question is, do I have that be consistent? Because probably not. We probably don't want it to have like, okay, spend 3 points to get from 1d4 to 2d4, and then if I make this 3 points each time, they're going to level up super fast. So that's something else to keep into account here. It's tricky because... Oh, I have people in the chat. Hold on. Hold on. Pop out chat. I'm popping out chat here because it's in the very corner of my other screen and I'm not seeing it. Let me put this over here. Hold up. Oh, looks like we got hi TP and hi Rob. Yeah, Rob says he's looking forward to playing this game. Yeah, so am I. And it looks like, I don't know if TP's still in here, but hi TP, thanks for joining me. Essentially, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this as well. It's just, again, gotta make sure it's well balanced, otherwise, woof, that's gonna be weird. Yeah, hey, good morning, Rob. Hope you're doing well. Let me see here. I guess it should make sense to figure out the number of points you need to level this up. A lot of questions here. Alright, so this is going to happen automatically. Like, we don't need any points to be done here if you're doing a year 0 outside of Hogwarts. So that's fine. That's just automatic. So 1d4 to 2d4. 12 points. I don't know. This looks a little odd here, though. So if a semester is supposed to be 3 months of time, well, I guess that's just gameplay-wise. Say this is a week. His time does pass pretty quickly. Might be one of those moments where I start staring at the screen again and going, what do I do? Because one of the other things I wanted to play around with was the idea that you could like override spells. Like, for example, I know one of the themes in Harry Potter is fueled by emotion. So, like, if you're in a really difficult situation, I wanted to play around with the idea of spending points to essentially fuel your magic, so you could turn like one failure into a success. But then the flip side of that is you have to go down a rank in the dice that you're using because you've used that up. Maybe I'll just do that on a maybe we can keep that separate because I want to keep this. I got to keep this simple here. So it's going to be a little tough to say, but I think we might just have to do testing for that. That's one of like the difficult things when you're developing this, at least from what limited experience I've found, because all these numbers are floating up in the air. You got to figure out what's actually working. So that's my... Oh yeah, I don't remember if I talked about this last time, but basically the spell or task difficulty is simple, tricky, complex, baffling, and implausible. I like the wordage here for that. So if you're trying to cast a super crazy spell, it's like, it's implausible, I tell you. Alright. Where am I? Dice leveling. Well, let me actually split my screen here. Let's do this. Come on, get in the get the thing. All right, there we go. Can I? Nope, nope. Come on. I'm trying to get it to snap, but it doesn't want to do it. Oh well. Okay, so. Because one of the other things I'm thinking about here is we are going to have to figure out ways to basically, because one of the things people are going to want to do is start pouring skills into the magic. Again, obviously you should do that, but we need to make sure that I think in the game, and really make this apparent in Dungeon Mastering or whatever title I want to give that, that we do not overlook these traits or the outward traits, because if we just pour everything into here, then it's going to make these two useless. But I think that's going to be a focus of the actual game itself, not necessarily you know, one of the core mechanics per se. Let me rephrase that. Essentially, I want to make sure that the actual games are run so they actually don't just rely on the spellcraft skills, because if it's just using this and this doesn't come into play and this doesn't come into play, then there's no point in having that. So I'm going around in circles now. All right, I think we gotta just put something down on paper and go for it, because I'm just gonna keep going around in circles. So leveling up from a coin essentially to a 1d4, that's going to be automatic when you get to Hogwarts. There's going to be no points spent on that. Getting from a die level, I would say that you would need, well, if there's, semester is, I said 3 months, and then the school year is broken up into 3 semesters. 9, 18, 27 points? Need to rethink this a little bit. Because let's say we get 30 points at the end of the year. Did my phone just go badoink? Oh, I have a voicemail for something. I'll check that out later. Because one thing again, if I have 30 points to spend at the end of the year, then I need to make sure those are divvied up between everything over here. So we're going to have to run through that. Semester is 3 months, and I'm going to have, is it 3 semesters? Fall, winter, spring? So there should be 10 points per semester. For the month, there's what? I'm saying 3 months here, so... Oh, it starts to get a little wonky here. Could say... I mean, that evens out nicely. So I'd say maybe at the end of the month here, let's say 3. And I guess at the end of the week, so say 1-ish, give or take. So, I don't know. Does Sir Thomas Waistcoat need to make an appearance? You know, I think he might be a character, Rob. I don't see why not. I think that might need to be a thing. So, for those who are listening, Sir Thomas Waistcoat was a character that we came up with on the fly. Yeah, I mean, that just sounds too much like a Harry Potter name. I do think he needs to be included in that. Maybe he can be either a shopkeep or, I don't know, he could also be a professor at Hogwarts. You know, because, I mean, this doesn't necessarily have to be during Harry's time. It could be before, after. We can have some fun with it. Should be a squib? Oh, no. Argus Filch is going to have a buddy. I mean, yeah, he could totally do that. Rob, what's part, if we were to write an adventure, where do you think Sir Thomas Waistcoat would be included in that? Like, what role? Like, if he is a squib, where do we include him? At Hogwarts or Diagon Alley? Like, what's your take on that? Let me know. But I think I am going to go with this point system. Okay. So in that case, at the end of the year, we definitely want them to at least have leveled up here. Shopkeep in Diagon Alley. Okay. Yeah, I think we could do that. What do you think he should sell? I'm gonna take notes here. Let me create a. Where is? I'm gonna create a Google Sheet here. Oh, apologies for the siren. So let's do NPCs. Ah, yes. The Waistcoat family. That does make sense, having him own a robe shop. Ooh, maybe he's a competitor with Madam Malcolm. Okay, so NPC's name, Thomas Waistcoat. Location, Diagon Alley. Occupation. Maybe he just sells waistcoats, but maybe robes, specialty vests. Oh, that could be cool. They could he could basically sell like specialty robes, so you could like maybe fit your wand in there and have it like have it like come out of a holster. I think that's going to be half the fun, is coming up with characters for this game. So if you have any other ideas, let me know. I'll add them to the sheet. So we got name, location, occupation. So I guess what's the wizard witch? Well, I guess we could say heritage. It doesn't really matter too much in the Harry Potter world. But in this particular case, he is a squib, but that's okay. You know what? We could say background. That makes more sense. Because then, essentially, if you were born to a wizard and witch family, but, because you basically have a, wizard and witch family, but then you have witches and wizards that come from a Muggle family as well. Could also maybe change it up a little bit, and maybe even somehow a Muggle got into Hogwarts. Somehow, some way. Maybe just have them focus on... Oh, that'd be really weird, though, because they wouldn't have access to this, but maybe we could have them focus more on this and a little bit more on the physical traits. That would be interesting. Okay, well, maybe that we'll include that in, like, an optional rule somewhere. Alright, cool. So yeah, if anyone has any other ideas for cool characters, let me know. We'll add them to this sheet. But that's pretty cool. Thanks for that suggestion, Rob. And in the meantime, I gotta figure out what to do with this point system over here. So I would say, all right, so at the end of the year, we're going to get 30 points. Going from first year to second year, however long that takes. Because then basically, I would say, if you're getting like 1 point for every week, then by the end of that time, you should be at the end of the year. So like 30 games is going to be 1 year. So if you're playing once a week for a couple of hours, then ideally, if math. So if you're playing once a week, well, actually that should be equivalent time almost, because if one session's 1 week, so it may be a little bit less depending on the dungeon mastering. So it should take you, let's see, to get to the end of the year. So that's 30 weeks. So that is essentially, divide that by 4. My math is not the best. So 30 divided by 4 weeks. 7.5 months if you want to do that on a day-by-day basis, which, I think we need to change that up a little bit. Well, again, that doesn't mean you won't level up your skills. We can come up with a certain amount of systems here. Yeah, because basically I think one of the leveling up process is at the end of every session, everyone should get a fixed amount of points. So maybe we can consider this fixed points. Yeah, I think the idea of to level up in this game, every session, everyone gets a fixed number of points, but then depending on what you do in the game, you can get more or less. Maybe some of it can be like sticking to like the theme of your like house, the one that you're sorted into. So let's actually take some quick notes here. Let me actually... let's do this. Ways to earn points. I know we're kind of bouncing around a little bit, but it's a little bit hard to figure out the scale. So let's say keeping to tenants of Hogwarts House. I'll have to review what those are because I know Slytherin is... Slytherin. The problem with Slytherin is, like, if I recall correctly, I have to review it. Slytherin is, like, they're supposed to be, like, cunning and smart. The problem is that a lot of the characters that go into the Slytherin house use that for devious means. You can use that for good purposes. There's nothing wrong with being a little cunning. The problem is that they're a bunch of jerks. So I don't want a player to be ostracized for being in Slytherin. You can definitely have very not so nice characters in Slytherin, but that should be true for the other houses. Keep it even, Steven, you know what I'm saying? So keeping to tenants of the Hogwarts house. Again, we may alter this a little bit depending on what the house mottos are, just to keep that fair. We'll have to play with that. What else? We can say, what else can we do? Keeping to tenants of the Hogwarts house. Solving a difficult, we say, legendary puzzle? Question mark. I know because if we look at the books, Harry and Ron and Hermione, like I just reread the first one. They got a bunch of points for solving like McGonagall's chess set, Snape's potion logic puzzle. There was also the keys and. There's, of course, Fluffy and all that kind of stuff. So, could be, like, solving a legendary status puzzle, perhaps. I'm not sure how else to word that. Maybe discovering a secret. Let's encourage them to explore. Let's see. Doing well on an exam, perhaps? Did you think I was going to forget the school aspect of it all? Let's see here. What else could we include? The back is... Ugh. Yeah, so I guess this would still be the fixed point system, depending on how quickly you wanted to play. We'll have to think about that a little bit, but I want to focus on this right now. Ways to earn points. What else goes on? Discovering a secret, doing well on exams, solving a legendary puzzle. Say assisting a friend? Question mark. Oh, if only I could spell F-R-I-E-N-D. I think that's right. Hold on. Google. I probably spelled it wrong. It's I before E, if I remember my grammar lessons correctly. I before E, except after C, if I remember right. Yes! Okay, great. We spelled it right. Huzzah. Alright, so maybe assisting a friend. We could also say, maybe, ran a successful experiment. Learned a high-level spell. Because there are going to be things that we want them to explore and test out. I'm trying to think of what else, though. Oh, also, I am no longer slouching, so I'm out of frame. There we go. With my fabulous hairdo. Barber's not open yet, as I said again, so waiting on that. What else? I think we're going to have to come back to this in a little bit, but this is a good starting point. So in terms of the system itself, so number of points needed to go from a D4 to a D6. Do I just change this to... let me just see something here. So maybe the amount of points needed to increase is just the same as the dice type. So maybe to increase from, well, that's from a D4 to a D4. So why don't I just say 4 to go from... So that's 4. And then we need 6. And then for here... do we just do it in 2s? 12, 14, 16, and then this last one, 20. I'm going to up that one. So let's see here. So you would need overall... where's my auto sum? Auto sum. I need you. Where did you go? Alright, here we are. Sum. So you need 90 points to fully upgrade one stat. So that's actually not too bad, because if at the end of the year you're supposed to have 30 points, in 3 years you could potentially max out one of these areas. Oh, but one thing I have to remember is that this is going to be a combination. Where did it go? This is going to be a combination of two aspects. So, for example, let's say we're focusing on defense against the dark arts over here. So these two numbers need to match up to this. So if I need a 90, that means I would need a 45 in each. Okay. We're kind of figuring things out a little bit over here. Maybe I could just can I knock this down to 60? Say 30, 30, and 30? Would that be too easy? Because, I mean, this is also interesting because you could technically put no points in focus and put all 4 in wand work, and that would still work. So I still like that idea. And then the other thing is, like, if someone wants to focus on like the role playing aspect of it and not do any min maxing or anything, if they're not into that, then they could actually let these sort of like drive their character. So they could say, nope, I have terrible focus, but I'm very dexterous. I like to do one work, and my pronunciation is amazing. So that might be something. Um, hmm. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and then 20. So, I mean, I would need a 45 and a 45 over here. I do think we need to... that's a lot of points, though. But again, if the end of the year they've got 30... So at the end of the year, what would they be able to do? So, actually, so if at the end of the game, you're supposed to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 times 30 is 210 points? Well, that's not how you spell that or write that out at all. So how many max levels would that get you? Where calculator. 210 divided by 90. Not a lot. Not a lot at all. I would say that, like, end goal for any witch or wizard, like standard, I would like them to at least have one specialization in the spell casting, 1 or 2 like one sorry. I would say every witch or wizard needs to have at least one specialization in each of these. Oh, this is tricky, guys. Tricky, tricky, tricky. So this is definitely not enough points, and probably this is a little too much. So let me take this away here. It's not a bad idea, but if by the end of the game they're supposed to have roughly 210 points, and there could be a year outside of Hogwarts, perhaps. So we'll reserve that for here. But let's assume that most players are going to stick within the actual Hogwarts year here. So we're supposed to have 210 points. Again, did I math that right? So 7 years times 30 points at a go. Yeah, 210. So they should have maxed out at least one specific attribute. So that means that this is probably not enough points, because that's only enough to max them out in one particular area. Oh, are we buffering a little weird here? Nope, seems like we're okay. I may need to simplify this. So let's knock it down to really simple numbers here. What to do? Yeah, this is one of those walls I'm hitting here. Like, we're making progress, but it's a little bit tough. Maybe what I can do is... So let's figure out, like, let's say at the end of the year, I guess I need to figure out what that magic number is for when these combine to give you the ultimate number of dice. Because then I guess that's going to drive everything else over here. Oh, Harry Potter, why you make my brain hurt? Again, because, like, this is such a large number, it's going to get crazy high, and the people are going to need to track it. So I definitely want to keep this, because that's going to encourage people to level up. So I guess, again, we just need to figure out how many points it's going to take to get here. This is obviously way too much. So if at the end of the year, we're going to be awarded... Yeah, I'm having a little trouble. Huh. What to do? Yeah, this is like... It's one of those weird things where if you've ever been in a math class, where basically like you see the numbers, but you don't necessarily know what they mean in real life. So I'm throwing out a bunch of numbers here, but I have no idea if that's actually going to work when we sit down at the table. So again, this is gonna have to be done through testing, but I don't like how insane these numbers got so quickly. We need to think of something that is simplified here. Easy to follow. So let's say perhaps maybe I'm almost tempted to say that the leveling up process should be done during the exams. I think that would be kind of funny. I don't know. So maybe like the exam is where you like turn in your points at the end of the game, at the end of the year. So that might actually make it a little bit easier to keep track. Oh. Well, that's a curious thought. So maybe instead of just awarding points here, maybe what I can do... There could be two ways we go about this. Let me actually open up a new... I had a thought. Hang on. Actually, I'll just keep it on the same sheet. So let me just put this down over here. So what if at the end of the school year, you've got your exams, right? So maybe what we can do is have people test themselves and accrue a number of points that they can use at the end of the year exams. So this is like sort of like taking all the knowledge that you've accrued, and then at the exam you can use those points to turn any successes or any failures into successes, and then you basically get bumped up a level in that specific category. That's an interesting idea. That's another way to go about it. So points are spent to upgrade level in, but this does kind of ruin my whole like triangle system here. In exams, or I can say spent to change failures into successes. I think I spelled that wrong, but that's okay, we're gonna roll with it. So exams are essentially the training or leveling up area. I still like that idea. maybe what I can do is maybe during the exam they can choose to put that into either like, let's say they go into their transfiguration exam. Perhaps they can decide where to put a point. So, for example, let's say they pass their transfiguration exam. They can decide to put that point into either focus or pronunciation. So that way they have to choose between these two. And then that overall will decide the max level on their spell points. Okay, interesting. Hold on, let's go back to the core system over here. So let's move this over. Whoop. So we're going to say, bear with me here for a second. Because, like, this is one of the tricky things over here in that with this being an entire point system, I would have to figure out what that scale is for the leveling up process. Like, if you look at Dungeons and Dragons, you know, like, if you look at, like, hit points, like, that's always the same die. You just keep rolling it. Like, that is simplified. They tell you what points you, or what abilities you get, and they determine, like, they have a lot more control, because depending on the level of spell you're casting or what you're doing, the numbers are done in such a way that they don't get out of control too crazy. It's pretty well leveled. They know, like, what their system is. I don't know what my system is yet. And it's also very different because I'm not working with a target number. I'm working on a success system. So it's a little bit different. But I like this idea of the exam. So maybe we can say... whoop. Exam. Success equals 1 point allocation. So that could go to either one. Failure, no points. Can I put a dashed line here? Because it's not... because they basically have to choose. Oh, okay, that's a thing. No! I want to move that point. No, stop it. Oh, well. Alright, we'll get the idea here. Okay, so that makes sense. And then any points they earn, points earned during the adventure, can be used to change failed dice into successes. Make that a little bit bigger. I don't know why I made this a circle, but made sense in my brain. Just, be straight. That's all I want. Just, Alright, there we go. Okay. So that's already going to make things a little bit better. The one thing we have to do is make sure that whatever points they earn, it's going to be equal to the amount. So I think what I'm going to say is you still have to change, or maybe the amount of points you get have to be spent equal to the number of dice. So if you're rolling, say, a d4, if you want this point to be turned into a success, you have to spend 4 points. That might be the allocation here that I need. Okay. So then this is also going to get more and more difficult as it goes. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I guess this would be end of year exams, depending on how you wanted to play, I suppose. But I like this system a little bit more now because it adds in it encourages you to go out and do stuff. Because you're going to need it at the end of the exam. You could technically pass the exam without any additional studying, but that is going to encourage people to do a little bit more stuff. So maybe point spending here will be 4, 6. I don't want to make that 12. That's going to be a bummer. 8, 10. This is still 6. 10, 10, and then this will be 12. And of course, well, there's no, actually, that would be, no, there's actually no exam point for that. So by the end of the year, you know, they should have roughly 30 points allocated. So depending on what else they do, oh, of course, then there's like win a Quidditch match. How can we not do that? I guess we should make the fixed point system. We need to figure that out still. Because I like this, because essentially everyone is going to need to figure out what they want their character to do well in, and then, you know, they may roll automatically and do fine, but that may be a bit of a problem. The other thing that I have to think about is the outward traits, because there are no exams for this. There's only exams for witch and wizard attributes and skills. So I would say probably that they can decide to just spend points in here at the end of the year. I mean, I suppose we could have an exam for that. That would be sort of odd, though. Because how do you put an exam on your attractiveness and charisma? So I'll have to figure out something else for this, because Harry Potter, they don't really have an exams for anything physical, which I should argue, because physical health is very important. But this is also going to be a little weird, because I stated that I wanted the first years to get to a D4 at some point. I may have to rethink that. Tricky, 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 tricky. Unless I want to say from, Because I don't want players to be running around with just a 1d4 all of the time. If the exams are at the end of the year... I like that aspect of the game, though. I mean, unless we just have... I mean, we technically don't have to allocate this per year, right? Because if they have exams, then, you know, there's no reason they can't have... Let's see. Let me actually take this real quick. Da-da-da-da. Copy this. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So, well, we'll say... Because I don't know what we're going to do with the headmaster here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright. So, we've got 7 years. If I only do exams at the end of the year, then there's absolutely no way they are going to be able to level this up. So, maybe... it might be good to do this on a per semester basis and then have final exams at the end of the year. Interesting. So we'll still have that be a general guide here, because it is also possible to fail an exam and run out of points for that. So we'll say that this is the progression of dice. And how you do on the exams is up to you. Curious. Curious, curious, curious. I like it. So then, I know, lots of me just going, But that's what happens when you're trying to make something from scratch. Let's see. So that's our progression of dice. Maybe I don't even have well... I'm trying to think. Because, I don't want players to be penalized for failing things, so I do think there needs to be a fixed set of points you get at the end of either each game or however long that takes. So, let's see here. So fixed point system. So we'll call this the exam method. Where the underline? I don't know where the underline went. That's fine. So we got the progression of dice, fixed points. Yeah, I definitely think we're going to have to do this on... Because I don't want players to not have opportunities if they bomb an exam really badly. Because if I only do end of year, then the stakes are going to be really high. But then on the flip side of that, they'll have more points to use. So I guess that's okay. So maybe I will keep this after all. So... Let me, maybe I will keep this after all, because then... Because how many areas do we have to test in? Defense against the dark arts, charms, transfiguration. Here it gets a little crazy. Oh, did my music go bye-bye? My music went bye-bye. But we're actually out of time anyway. Let me just finish up my thought. I'll just replay this for 2 seconds. So we've got 3 areas of spellcraft. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-ish. So that's already 13 areas of study, potentially. So 13 exams. I think what we... why? Oh, it's my phone. So we have 13 potential exams. We can possibly split that up so you do half at the beginning of the semester, and I don't know. We'll have to figure that out a little bit. But then there's also leveling for physical traits. So we're figuring it out. I'm liking the way this is going, but we are out of time. Whoop, that's not the right thing. There we go. So we're out of time for right now. I like the idea of exams because then it really does encourage players to go out and experience things, particularly if we give them extra points for succeeding at very specific tasks. So we need to figure out what that is. Next thing we need to do, I've got the progression of dice here. I need to figure out if the fixed points make sense for the end of the year, how many exams we want to hold throughout the year, because we want to make sure we give people an opportunity to test. And then the other thing is, so let me take some notes here. How many exams does the final exam cost more points? Re-examine fixed point allocation, and then I also need to figure out once, because basically you're going to use those points to change the die around. So what did I say? Points needed to change failure to success, and then I need to figure out how many. Well, I guess if you succeed in a task, then you just go up a level. So we actually don't need. No, that's not right, because then I need to figure out. I need to figure out how it goes in the attributes. Skill attributes to dice. Still need to figure that out. Okay, so I have some notes for next time. I may work on this a little bit more in my free time because we're getting really close to figuring out. I mean, the core mechanics, I think we have down more or less. I think I've got the core system, but it's now figuring out a couple of the details on how to level. So when we come back next time, I'm going to dive into that. And hopefully we'll have a play test of this very, very soon. I'm pretty excited about that. So again, if you have any suggestions for a character, feel free to let me know. We already have our very first one with Thomas Waistcoat, so that'll be really fun. If you have any other ideas for spells or any other aspect of Harry Potter, how to how do we award points for players, that would be really cool. And yeah, we should have something to test really soon. I'm hoping in a couple of weeks or so. Might be a little bit longer. Don't hold me to that. So again, my name is Nick. I'm Director of Operations for the Digital Arts Experience. If you ever want to take a class with us, I obviously am focusing a little bit more on game design, specifically tabletop for this example, but we do a variety of other courses: animation, programming, video, not design, video editing, visual effects, graphic design, drawing. We do a whole bunch of stuff, so check us out. All our information is in the description below. Reach out, let us know if you have any questions, and our summer classes are coming up real soon, so definitely encourage you to check that out. All right, that's my spiel. Thanks for joining me, guys, and have a nice day. That's not the right thing. Okay. Here we go. Exit out now. Bye.